Hey guys, Anthony back at you at the Gazelle Lab. Today we have another epic Android phone battle. Today we have the Sony Xperia Z and the Samsung Galaxy S4. These are two of the best Android devices out there. This along with the HTC One. It's pretty much your three best Android phones. This review will cover both versions on T-Mobile. This is the model number is C6606, which does add 4G LTE for T-Mobile, which is nice. So there you have the T-Mobile logo on the back and T-Mobile logo on the back, just to show you guys what we're working with. So let's start with a brief size comparison. In terms of thinness, they're exactly the same, 7.9 millimeters. This does have a square finish on the Xperia Z, so it does perhaps maybe look a little thinner. It also does look a little nicer too with this glass look. We'll get into that in a little bit. In terms of height, the Xperia Z is a little bit taller at about 139 millimeters compared to 137 on the Galaxy S4, and the Xperia Z is a little bit wider at 71 compared to 69 on the Galaxy S4. The Xperia Z is kind of a big phone, so if you're not used to that, it's something to keep in mind. It really doesn't look that big when you see it, when you see it compared to other phones, but in the hand it's pretty beefy, pretty bulky, but it's nice. And the best thing, I like heavy phones. This thing weighs about 146 grams compared to kind of a light 130 grams on the Galaxy S4. And that's partially due to the build quality. Over here on the Galaxy S4, you pretty much have plastic. It's polycarbonate plastic. You can feel it. And then on the Xperia Z, you do have this amazing glass finish, which is really nice. Probably more, prone to breakage, considering it's all glass, but for me it's worth it. It looks fantastic, and does feel fantastic in the hand. The only thing I would worry about is it is a little sharp on your hand, when you're holding this thing, compared to the Galaxy S4, which is nice, curved, smooth finish. So let's get into some of the physical characteristics. Let's start with the top. Due to the fact that the Xperia Z is waterproof, everything's closed up here. None of the ports are open, so it's kind of a pain in the butt sometimes to open everything up, but that's what you get for being waterproof. Headset jack on both. I'll show you how easy it is to pop this off. You're just gonna slide your finger there, underneath there, and it's right there. So it's not too bad. It's just kind of a pain sometimes when you want to do it all the time. So that's the top. The sides over here. I'll start at the same one. So they both have the power buttons on the side. The Xperia Z is positioned a little bit lower, which is nice, makes it easy, and it's that cool, nice big button they have. Volume rocker right below it, and speaker ports on below that. On the Galaxy S4, just the power button on one side. When you're talking the other side, we are talking volume rocker on the Galaxy S4, and then on the Xperia Z you have the other ports, which are all covered up again. So this is your charging port. This is your micro SD slot, and this is to dock it. If you want to use the Xperia, the dock, it's about $30 on Sony's site. You can also find it on Amazon, which is nice. If you use a case though, you won't be able to dock unless you find a really, really thin case. So on the bottom, on the Xperia Z, pretty much nothing, just a barcode and a microphone. And then on the bottom here on the Galaxy S4, you do have the charging port. When it comes to the front, classic Galaxy S4 home key. No hard buttons on the Xperia Z, which is nice. I'm kind of done with home buttons, with actual physical buttons on the front of the phone. Sticking with the front, you have cameras on the front. Both have 2 megapixel shooters on the front. Pretty good cameras for front-facing cameras. On the back, you have 13 megapixel snappers on both, with LED flash on both. And on the bottom on the Galaxy S4, you do have the speaker grill, which is nice. Both cameras are fantastic. We'll get into a couple pictures in a little bit. Sticking with the specs, in terms of versions of Android, the Galaxy S4 did update to 4.2, and the Xperia Z is 4.2 on some carriers around the world, but on T-Mobile, unfortunately, it's still at 4.1.2, so I'm still waiting for that update. Sony's kind of famous for rolling out their updates a little bit slower than everyone else, so thing to consider. In terms of memory, you're looking at 16 gigabytes of storage, internal storage on the Xperia Z. Same as well on the Galaxy S4. There is other versions as well. Both have 2 gigabytes of RAM, and both have micro SD card expansion, which is good. So they're pretty even when it does come to specs. 4G LTE, HSDPA, 42 megabytes per second, Bluetooth 4.0 on each, A2DP, sorry about that, micro USB, MHL adapters if you want to hook them up through HDMI. So these guys are very similar in specs. Even when it comes to the camera, like I said, 13 megapixel camera, 1080p video, 30 frames per second, HDR video on the Xperia Z. But when it comes to processing power, that's where the Galaxy S4 really edges out the Xperia Z. So you do have the Snapdragon 600, which is also found in the HTC One. And the Xperia Z, since it's older, even though it just came out on T-Mobile here, it is a little bit older because it was released back at CES in the start of 2013. So this is a quad-core, their Crate processor, their 1.5 Qualcomm processor, in comparison to the Snapdragon 600. So they both use Adreno 320 GPUs, but the Galaxy S4 is going to be a little bit snappier. You really can't tell from, if you go through the menus. And honestly, it is a little bit hard to tell. The Galaxy S4, though, perhaps is a little bit quicker, and you know that you're getting the latest Qualcomm processor, the 600, even though, the 800 just came out. And you'll see that on the Xperia Z Ultra, which we will review in a little bit. Back to these two devices, GPS on both devices as well. In terms of color options, which you can buy the phone in, the Xperia Z on T-Mobile is only available in black and purple. There is a white version if you're looking to get it unlocked. And then with the Galaxy S4, it seems like the always new colors: White Frost, Black Mist, and now there's an Aurora Red. Then across other carriers, you can find purple, Arctic Blue, brown, pink. Just really depends what carrier and what region you're in. So let's get into some battery differences right now. So in terms of battery, the Galaxy S4 will give you a little bit better battery life with a 2600 mAh battery, and it's removable, which is nice. On the Xperia Z, you do have a 2330 lithium-ion battery, but it is not removable. So in terms of talk time, you're getting about 11 hours on the Xperia Z in comparison to about 17 hours on the Galaxy S4. So when it comes to battery, the Galaxy S4 is a little bit better than the Xperia Z. So let's get into a little camera action on these two devices right now. So we're going to pull out, our classic Bezel screen wipe, and let's start with the Xperia Z, or the Xperia Z, they call it across the pond. So you just tap to focus, and a bunch of different settings on here. If I go into settings right here, you can look at all your different settings: sweep panorama, picture effect, different scenes, so a whole bunch of things. Right now this is normal. You can go into HDR if you want. Let's turn it on for this. We'll go into Superior Auto actually, and we'll take a picture. I have the camera shutter sound off, so there it is. Really good picture. And then we'll take it with the Galaxy S4. Now the Galaxy S4 has a ton of features. If you want to see all the features, you can check out my Galaxy S4 review. There's just kind of a lot to go over right now. So we'll snap that. And here's how they look side by side. So almost similar quality. You might see the Galaxy S4 is a little bit brighter, and that's because of the LCD, which we're going to talk about right now. The Super AMOLED 5-inch LCD produces really bright colors in comparison to the the TFT 5-inch display on the Xperia Z. Both have the same PPI, so pixels per inch at 441. 5-inch screens, 1080p screens. The Xperia Z does suffer from a little viewing angles, which some of the reviews have said poor viewing angles. For me, it's not a big deal. I tend to look at my phone straight on. So if you're worried about that, that might be something to think about. One other thing, Sony does come with the Sony Mobile Bravia Engine 2, which does offer, if you turn it on and off, you can tell it's some better clarity on the Xperia Z. Other than that, I think your final decision is going to come down to ultimately the look and feel is one thing. Next is going to be performance, and last but not least is going to be the UI. Some people really don't like Samsung's TouchWiz UI, and I think the Xperia, the whole Sony Xperia line and this Timescape UI is the closest to stock Android. So I think for you, in terms of UI, Sony wins it out. In terms of performance, Samsung wins that out. But then the last call for me is look, feel, and design, and that is where I give the edge to the Sony. This full glass, this nice thin bezel, this great design, and the fact that it's waterproof, to me gives the Sony Xperia Z the win for the day. I hope you enjoyed my review. Thanks.